Welcome back to Braintree Today. I'm Sarah Hamilton and you're watching BCAM TV. Now we'll be getting into our latest stories from the week. Israel has launched a massive wave of airstrikes across Lebanon, targeting what it says are Hezbollah military sites. Israeli officials say more than 100 targets were hit in just 10 minutes, including areas in Beirut, southern Lebanon, and the Bekaa Valley. Lebanon's health ministry reports at least 182 people have been killed and nearly 900 wounded, with the death toll expected to rise. Emergency crews continue to search through damaged buildings as residents describe scenes of destruction. The strikes come despite a ceasefire agreement between the U.S. and Iran, which officials say does not include Lebanon. However, Iran is accusing Israel of violating the conditional ceasefire announced by President Trump by continuing its war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel has indicated it will continue its campaign against Hezbollah as concerns grow over further escalation in the region. Amid the U.S. and Israeli war with Iran, Donald Trump is asking Congress to boost defense spending to $1.5 trillion. That would be one of the largest military funding requests in decades. The proposal is part of the White House's 2027 budget plan, which also calls for cutting non-defense spending by 10%. Officials say some responsibilities would shift to state and local governments. The Pentagon has also proposed an additional $200 billion to support the war effort and replenish supplies. The plan highlights the president's focus on military investment, setting up a likely debate in Congress over spending priorities. In another sign of how the war with Iran is impacting consumers, United Airlines is raising checked bag fees. Customers will see a $10 increase for first and second checked bags, and an additional $50 fee for a third bag. The airline now charges $45 for a first checked bag if paid in advance, or $50 if paid within 24 hours of a flight. United says the changes apply to tickets purchased starting Friday, April 3rd. The move comes as airlines face rising fuel costs and follows a similar price hike by JetBlue Airways last week. Officials say fuel remains one of the industry's biggest expenses. The Department of Health and Human Services has announced a new $144 million program to study microplastics in the human body. The initiative, called Systemic Targeting of Microplastics, or STOMP, will bring together experts to detect, measure, and better understand their health impacts. Officials say the program will also focus on developing ways to remove microplastics from the body. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. says the issue is growing, with plastic particles now found in human blood, organs, and even placentas. He also pointed to research linking microplastics to a significantly higher risk of heart attack, stroke, or death. The Environmental Protection Agency is partnering on the effort, and for the first time will include microplastics on its contaminant candidate list for drinking water. The goal is to develop a low-cost test under $50 that can detect microplastics in under 15 minutes. Following up on a story from last week, the crew of the Artemis II has completed most of their 10-day mission. On day 6, the Artemis II crew wrapped up a historic 7-hour lunar flyby, marking humanity's first return to the moon since Apollo 17 in 1972, and capturing images of the lunar surface. Now they are making their way back to Earth. Looking ahead, the crew and flight teams will begin preparations and studying entry procedures for their Earth landing. NASA is targeting splashdown at 8:07 p.m. on Friday, April 10th, off the coast of San Diego, California. You can watch the live coverage of the Artemis II landing on a variety of online and television platforms. For more information, please visit nasa.gov. Thanks for watching Braintree Today. We'll be right back with more after the break. Welcome back to Braintree Today. I'm Sarah Hamilton. Now we'll be getting into more stories. On Monday, April 6th, the Braintree School Committee met to discuss the possible closure of one of its elementary schools. Here's more from the school committee.
I do want to say, before we maybe ask for a vote, just for clarity's sake, right, we're talking about option 2, and this being sort of the first step in that direction. It does reduce it to 5 elementary sites. This doesn't do it, as Mayor Joyce said. We're looking at another site that would be east side. We did sort of break the decision down by the feeding pattern of the middle schools. We're sort of boxed in by a bunch of decisions, right? We built middle schools the size we built. Old South didn't get taken down when New South was built. I don't think anybody up here was part of those decisions. And, you know, that is sort of the lay of the land right now. I don't think anybody likes talking about closing schools. This isn't like a fun meeting for us to be at and to tell people, oh, hey, your school might be closing. I take zero joy in that. But we are trying to do what's right. And maybe we're not correct in doing so. But I do think everybody on this committee puts in a lot of time and, tries to educate themselves as best as they can. And ultimately, I think we all try to do what's best for the kids. So
at the time, 2 years ago, I was still trying to understand where we could go, what it would mean, it's one thing to say to the community, do you want to afford the schools as they are? It's another thing to put a number that is real and effectively can hold on to them to get it to a vote. So I think, if there are future votes, they have to be tied, in my opinion, it has to be tied to money. It's one thing to say, do you want to do this, but are you gonna invest in that through a debt exclusion or future overrides? And I think it's really expensive. Every household budgets are pinched. And I've been to the senior center, not specifically around the schools, but just listening to our seniors talk about the challenge to stay in Braintree and really being sort of, having these homes that they can't get out of because they can't free up the cash to do anything. They want to stay in the community, but there's nowhere to go. And it's a very complex challenge. And I think, schools and children and families, they're not a burden to us. They're the lifeblood of our community. And I think, talking about affording it and how we can afford it is not coming from a place of this is a burden and we want to be done with it. So we want to make the investment in our students' experience.
I want to start by acknowledging everyone in the room tonight. Thank you for being here. Decisions like this are not just about buildings or budgets, but they're about people, about children, families, educators, and a community that cares deeply about its schools. So to those of you who have voiced your opposition, I hear you. I've read your emails, taken calls, and had conversations with many of you. Your concerns and your advocacy matter. I also want to acknowledge those who have reached out to me expressing support for closing Highlands. Many of you did so quietly, understanding the weight of the conversation. Spoke about long-term sustainability, equity across the district, and the responsibility we have to make decisions that position the district for the future. But the reality we're facing in Braintree is that Braintree can no longer afford to maintain that model the way we have in the past. And the reality is we're here because of decades of decisions, decades of underinvestment, and too many instances where difficult choices were deferred. And that's led us to where we are today, and time is running out.
There's a number of different reasons. One of them is I'm not aware of any plans for the use of the building. I don't agree with, at this point, with wanting to close schools without some kind of plan from the town. What will happen with the building? I don't want to set a precedent in closing schools without a plan for the building. I also would prefer to have more public feedback and about where we're going with this master plan in the form of a referendum or some kind of public comment period or public forums so that, and again, these options were released on March 16th. I would like to get more feedback, and then once we have a clear picture of where we're going, that to me, that would be the point to start making permanent irrevocable decisions of closing schools. I don't agree with just starting at this stage to start closing schools and implementing option 2 or option 3 before really a big picture decision has been made as to where we're going. So that's where I am. I understand the maintenance issues and concerns. I just don't think that I don't agree with making this decision right. I don't support it at this time.
So we had a motion from member Kersberg on the closure of Highlands Elementary School, relocating that community to Old South and reopening Old South as an elementary school for the 26-27 school year.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're going to do a roll call vote. Dr. Roy,
Aye.
member Fogarty,
Nay.
Mayor Joyce.
Aye.
Member Kersberg,
Aye.
member Tuffy,
Aye.
member Donahoe,
Aye.
chair votes aye. That passes 6-1.
On Tuesday, April 7th, the Town Council met and gave congratulations and recognitions to the Braintree youth hockey teams. Here's more from the coaches of the Braintree youth hockey.
Thank you for having us here tonight. Obviously a great group of kids here, hardworking, talented athletes. Says a lot about the Braintree youth hockey program having two state champions, same division, same age group. So really great group of kids, awesome group of parents over there. A lot of support, early mornings at the hockey rink. There you are, buddy. But yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Coach, you guys, you put up with it too, so you want to say anything?
I told my son I wouldn't give much of a speech tonight to not embarrass him, so I'm just going to say thank you to the parents, thanks for the kids. It was a really fun season. Love coaching you guys, super athletic group, so yeah, thanks for having us here too.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. At the beginning of the year, we couldn't figure out who was going to be the head coach of this team because no one wanted to step up and do it. And then, although Adam did step up to do it, it was great to see Pat actually do it. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to invite up the coaches for the U12A team, Nick Bickerton, and the assistants, John O'Toole, Mike Larkin, and Teddy Doolin.
Thank you very much for having us. It was a great season, a lot of great hockey players. As one of the high school hockey coaches, I'm very excited for this group to come up in a few years. Having both teams do it together was really special. Thank you.
Yes, I'll second that. I'm very proud of this group, and you know, as much as I'd like to say it was all coaching, it was really all these kids. They did unbelievable. They were really fun to coach, and I'm really happy for all of them for having this accomplishment. Very proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also at the Town Council meeting, School Superintendent Tim McDonald and Mayor Joyce spoke briefly regarding the Braintree Public Schools Master Plan. Town Council President Peter Morin made a motion to postpone this discussion and hold a special meeting on April 15th at 7:30 p.m. at Braintree Town Hall to talk in depth with Superintendent McDonald about the Braintree Public Schools Master Plan. To watch the Braintree School Committee and the Town Council meetings, tune into BCAM TV Government Channel, Channel 8 on Comcast, and Channel 26 on Verizon, and check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/BCAMTV. A Braintree nonprofit that provides home care for older adults is planning major layoffs. South Shore Elder Services says it will cut 52 jobs, about a third of its workforce, with layoffs expected in June. A notice filed with the state was updated Monday to reflect the number of job losses. The announcement comes as the organization explores a possible partnership with Old Colony Elder Services, which is based in Brockton. Officials say the cuts are not directly related to the partnership, but both decisions come as providers face growing financial and workforce challenges. South Shore Elder Services employs more than 160 people and reported a loss of over $1 million in 2023. The organization provides services to seniors in 11 South Shore communities. Officials say they are looking at ways to strengthen operations while continuing to support the families they serve. Braintree Police released new data Tuesday showing shifts in crime across the community. Police say larceny and shoplifting dropped 33% in the first 3 months of the year, with 186 incidents reported. But domestic violence cases increased by 25%, with officers responding to 80 incidents. Calls related to mental health also rose 21%, while disturbance calls increased 19%. Overall, police responded to more than 6,200 calls, a 6.5% increase, and made 111 arrests. Officials say while the drop in theft is encouraging, the rise in other calls highlights the need for continued community support and services. The Braintree Retirement Board will hold a public hearing later this month. The hearing is scheduled for Thursday, April 23rd at 4:15 p.m. It will take place at 74 Pond Street on the second floor. Officials will discuss a possible cost of living adjustment, also known as a COLA, for eligible Braintree Retirement System pension recipients. If approved, the adjustment would take effect July 1st, 2026. The public is welcome to attend the meeting, and it will be held in person with a remote option available through Zoom. The town of Braintree began its annual water flushing program on April 6th. The work takes place Monday through Thursday from 7 p.m. to midnight and will continue through the end of August. Officials say signs will be posted in areas where flushing is scheduled. Residents may notice temporary water discoloration during this time. Officials advise avoiding laundry during flushing hours and making sure water runs clear before use. For questions, residents can contact the Water and Sewer Department at 781-843-8097. Thank you for watching Braintree Today on BCAM TV. We'll be right back with more stories in the area, but first, here's a look at events happening this month at the Braintree Senior Center located at 71 Cleveland Ave in Braintree. The Braintree Senior Center has a full lineup of activities this April for residents age 60 and older. From weekly social programs to special events and presentations, there are plenty of opportunities to stay active and connected. The center also offers a variety of weekly activities. Fitness classes are available daily. On Mondays, residents can enjoy bocce at 10, the walking group at 10:30, men's coffee hour at 11, and pool players at noon. Tuesdays feature game day from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Wednesdays, Asian Outreach meets at 11, followed by GEMS exercise at 1. Thursdays include quilting at 11:30, pool lessons at 12:30, and knitting at 1. And on Fridays, pool players meet at noon and movies are shown at 1 p.m. Several special events are also scheduled throughout the remainder of the month. Upcoming events include the photography group on April 9th and 23rd, and a Heart and Vessels presentation on April 13th. On April 17th, the center will host a spa day, book club meeting, technology class, and advisory board meeting. Later in the month, residents can attend a Whitey Bulger presentation on April 22nd, a discussion and craft class on April 27th, an Alzheimer's presentation on April 28th, and a historical presentation on April 29th. For more information or to sign up, residents are encouraged to contact the Braintree Senior Center directly. The center is located at 71 Cleveland Avenue in Braintree and can be reached by phone at 781-848-1963. Welcome back to Braintree Today. Now let's get right into more stories. 2 men charged in the 2022 shooting death of Weymouth High School senior Nathan Paul have pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter. 22-year-old Javon Harris and 21-year-old Kenil Diaz Romero entered their pleas in Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham on Monday, April 6th. Prosecutors say the shooting happened during a robbery in Quincy, where the two attempted to steal THC vaping cartridges using counterfeit money. Diaz Romero admitted to firing the shot that killed the 17-year-old after Harris instructed him to do so. Diaz Romero was sentenced to 15 to 18 years in state prison, and Harris received a sentence of 6 to 8 years. Both men will also serve probation after their release. Paul's family described him as a natural-born leader, a student athlete who played football, wrestled, and was voted best dressed in his senior year. Federal prosecutors have revealed new DNA evidence in the case against former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell. Farwell is accused of killing 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore, a pregnant woman he allegedly began exploiting when she was 15. According to a new court filing on Monday, April 6th, Farwell's DNA was found on the strap used to kill Birchmore in her Canton apartment in 2021. Prosecutors say the evidence now directly links him to both the crime scene and the murder weapon. The DNA was not identified during the initial state investigation, which ruled her death a suicide. But after the FBI arrested Farwell in 2024, a court-ordered DNA sample matched the evidence. Forensic testing also found his DNA in Birchmore's clothing, contradicting statements he previously made to investigators. Prosecutors are asking that Farwell remain in custody as he awaits trial, which is scheduled for October. Gas prices across Massachusetts are up nearly $1 compared to last month, as the war in Iran continues. According to AAA, the average price for regular gas in Massachusetts is now $3.86 per gallon, up from $2.91 from just 1 month ago. The national average is even higher, currently at $4.08 per gallon. That's up from $2.99 last month. Around New England, prices are similar. New Hampshire is at $3.87, Maine and Rhode Island are both at $3.91, Connecticut is at $4.02, and Vermont is at $3.99 per gallon. Nantasket Beach and Hull has long been a favorite spot for families. Whether it's a day by the water or memories of Paragon Park, the park, once known as the Playground of New England, closed in 1984, but one iconic attraction lives on. The Paragon Carousel has been welcoming riders since 1928. For nearly 100 years, it stood by the shore, offering a classic ride through generations of memories. Now, thanks to restoration efforts, many of its original pieces, built before the Great Depression, are being brought back to life. The carousel is one of fewer than 100 grand carousels left in the United States. It features 66 wooden horses, 2 Roman chariots, and dozens of hand-painted details. The carousel opened for the 2026 season on April 4th and will be open daily from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., with spring events including a derby on May 1st, a junior derby on May 2nd, and a Mother's Day tea on May 10th. Tickets are $3 for a single ride or $25 for a 10-ride pass. The Artemis II mission is making headlines, with stunning images of Earth and the Moon capturing attention around the world. But what you may not know is that there's a local connection. The bright orange spacesuits worn by the crew were made right here in Massachusetts. That's right, the 4 astronauts on board are wearing suits designed by the David Clark Company in Worcester. Local engineer Nick Dean helped design and build the suits. He says he originally planned to focus on robotics, but his work with explosive ordnance suits for the U.S. military led him here. He adds that Worcester should take pride in the project. The suits, known as the Orion Crew Survival System, are used during the most critical parts of the mission, including launch and re-entry. The David Clark Company has a long history with NASA, dating back to its founding in 1935. The company also played a role in the Apollo 11 moon landing, providing gear for astronauts like Neil Armstrong. Thank you for tuning into Braintree Today. We'll be right back with more in entertainment.
I'm Mayor Erin Joyce, and I'd like to tell you about some important projects we're working on here in Braintree to improve the quality of our local water bodies and to protect our town from the dangers of flooding and stormwater runoff. Stormwater runoff is the water generated from rain and snowmelt that flows over hard surfaces and does not soak into the ground. Stormwater runs through a system of pipes in the street and into our local water bodies, such as the Cochado River, Farm River, Manatequit River, and Sunset Lake. In Braintree, we have a separate sewer system. So what does that mean? That means that there are actually 2 separate pipes in most streets that carry stormwater and sanitary sewer separately. So when it rains and water washes into our catch basin system, it ties into the stormwater system, which transports water to our water bodies. Over the past 5 years, the town of Braintree has been working hard to maintain and improve our stormwater drainage systems. Now, we're constructing retrofits to the drainage system. These drainage retrofits use the natural process of infiltration to improve water quality and reduce potential flooding in our neighborhoods. At Plain Street Cemetery, we're constructing a bioretention basin. What that is right before the water, which today runs piped to the Manatequit River. This project intercepts that pipe before it goes and discharges into the river. And it creates a place for the water to go first, which is the bioretention basin. And in that basin, plants and engineered soils will filter the water so that that water that's coming off of the neighborhood right now, unfiltered, untreated, will be collected into a rain garden, and that provides a lot of pollution control before the water ultimately makes it to the Manatequit River.
I'm Rachel Horak. I live here in Braintree, and I'm the president of Sustainable Braintree. We think of ways that we can help our residents of Braintree live healthier lives that are in better harmony with our planet. Bioretention basin at the cemetery site is part of an overall project to expand the Braintree Cemetery. And this project will not impact current burial sites, nor will it impact future burial sites. After the bioretention basin is constructed, we add native plants that help filter out the pollutants so that the water is a little bit cleaner. Some of the ways that residents can help are reduce the amount of fertilizers that you use on your lawn, picking up pet waste, reducing the amount of garbage in our streets, and also raking the catch basins that you might see on the roadways.
To pay for these projects, we're leveraging grants from the Mass DEP, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. As a Braintree resident, you should know that the town is actively working on projects that help improve the water quality in our water bodies. With your help and these projects, we will help filter pollution and keep Braintree's rivers, lakes, and streams beautiful for years to come.
Welcome back to Braintree Today. Now here are some new movies and shows that have been creating some social buzz. First, the drama follows a young couple, Emma and Charlie, in the high-pressure week leading up to their wedding. Their relationship seems perfect until a night of heavy drinking and a confession game with friends leads to a shocking revelation. The film stars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. You can watch the drama now in theaters. Up next, the Super Mario Galaxy movie follows Mario and Luigi, who after having thwarted Bowser's previous plot to marry Princess Peach, now face a new threat in Bowser Jr., who is determined to liberate his father from captivity and restore the family legacy. The film stars Chris Pratt as the voice of Mario. You can watch the Super Mario Galaxy movie now in theaters. Finally, You, Me, and Tuscany follows Anna, who impulsively jets off to Tuscany, Italy, to stay at a stranger's villa without permission. Caught inside the house by the man's mother, she convinces the woman that she's his fiancé. That little lie soon becomes a big problem when Anna develops a growing attraction to the stranger's handsome cousin. The film stars Halle Bailey and Regé-Jean Page. You can watch You, Me, and Tuscany now in theaters. That'll do it for news today. Don't forget, Verizon customers can watch BCAM TV in high definition on channel 2128 and Comcast on channel 1073. I'm Sarah Hamilton, and thank you for watching Braintree Today on BCAM TV. We'll see you next time.